act of violence that shattered the peace of the summer holidays in a seaside town.
BB King, Elsie Stankham and Elise Aguirre.
Another fire, another night of chaos.
Anti-immigration rioters attack a hotel in Rotherham.
Crowds clashing with police outside a hotel where immigrants are being housed.
Axel Rudakabana is 17, British, born in Wales and of Rwandan heritage.
But who they're directing their anger at? They're directing it at Muslims only. Why? Because their agenda is anti-Islam, straight up.
I remember the first time I was called the N-word. When I was around 6 to 7 or 8 years old, me and my family were on the way to a little holiday trip in a caravan site actually called Haven. Not sure if you remember that. If you're British, you probably do. Anyway, I can't exactly remember what site this was. I was pretty young at the time. But I remember it felt like a long way away from London, which is where I'm from. Anyway, it wasn't short after arrival that my innocence was shattered. So as I said, I was around 6, 7, 8 years old. And believe it or not, at that time, I've never actually heard the N-word before. Just for any Americans watching, we don't really use the N-word that much in the UK. So it wasn't really something that I grew up around. So anyway, we got to the caravan site and obviously there's lots of other families around, lots of other kids. Young me wants to go play football. So I see a kid outside his caravan site and he's got football. So I run up to him. He's a little white boy, probably similar age to me, and we start playing football. I'm not thinking anything about it, it's just having fun. And I think I was being a bit of a sore winner, I'll be honest. I was probably like hogging the ball and not giving him a touch or something, or trying to not make him over and over again, Something stupid like that. And I just remember seeing his face just getting redder and redder. And out of nowhere, I remember this distinctly, he burst out with, "Give me my ball back, you effing N-word." And to be honest, I was shocked. I didn't really know what to say because I was familiar with the first word. I knew the F word was bad, but the second word didn't really know what it was, but it felt bad. It sounded pretty bad. And I could tell as soon as he said it, there was intent behind it. Yeah, as I said before, in case any Americans are watching, we don't really use that word in the UK, especially not with a hard R. We barely use the one with A, but yeah, anyway. So of course I ran to tell my mum to, tell her what just happened. She came out, wanting to talk to the boy's parent. We ran into the parents and they're looking like they're very stereotypical white British people. The dad's got the typical kind of build, like got the big beer belly, wearing a white vest, Umbro hat, and the mum looks like she's extra from EastEnders, crooked teeth and all. And they're all like, "Oh, I don't know where he got that from. I can't believe he said that. We have no clue why he would say that." And it's like, do you think we're fucking stupid? Now that I think about it, of course. At the time, I was just a background character, so I had no input whatsoever. But now that I think about it, I think this perfectly kind of displays the British ideology when it comes to, racism and other cultures. Because let's be honest, we all knew where the boy picked up that language from. But they want to play innocent and act like you can't put two and two together. And this tendency to play dumb, or as British people would say, to be tolerant, is definitely one of the core British values, as they always say. However, it seems like that veil has been lifted, and the animosity that many Brits have towards those they consider not to be British enough has reared its ugly head once again. Let's be honest, these anti-immigration protests are nothing short of farce. Because do these protesters have any actual policies, any innovative ideas to actually tackle this complex issue? No. But they do have a lot of anger, hatred and entitlement. And I think these are one of the three core British values.
Stop the boats, kick them out. There's too many of you here. You don't respect our country, you don't respect our religion. All you think about is Aisha, because she was 9 years old. That's what you're all into, paedophilia.
And although I can agree with the points of, a lack of and loss of community, culture and kinship due to mass immigration are issues to be tackled. But burning cars, burning family businesses and attacking ethnic minorities in the street will never be the answer for that. The truth is, all these fools that you see on the street fighting and destroying, they've been radicalized by those that tell them that the main issue in their lives and the reason that they're unsatisfied with their lives is because the government are choosing to invest in immigrants over, the good old British folk, which is just a straight up lie. And let's be honest, most of these guys that are protesting and that feel so strongly against immigration and immigrants as a whole, they do not have very high job prospects, do they? They probably don't have too many brain cells between them, and they just feel entitled to have the benefits of things they have not actually worked towards achieving.
Because there are so many foreigners coming over and taking our jobs. I know it's not just all them foreigners, because I know some of the foreigners are doctors, and some of them foreigners can save our lives. There are some foreigners that are coming over and taking our jobs, yeah, and not even working. And they're working.
They take our jobs if they're not working?
Because they do it. They do it. Simple as that.
Well, they have to realise that the days where you can just survive and live comfortably on a single income of just like being a labourer is long gone. Those days are gone and they're not coming back. And it's not immigrants' fault. You can blame capitalism for that. You don't hate Mohammed. You hate these corrupt politicians that are, you know, doing these backdoor payments and handing out cash to all their mates. And this anger is misplaced, maybe because they just can't wrap their heads around the fact that the UK will not be as racially or politically or like religiously homogenous as it once was. And this is what happens when you live in a country that has colonized half of the world basically. You can't have your cake and eat it too, sorry. And altogether it feels like there's a lack of empathy when it comes to immigrants in this country. People feel like their lives are worth more than immigrants just because you happen to be born in this country. You have to realise that these people that are fleeing their countries to live in the UK, they're not doing it like just willy-nilly. It's not an easy decision to just pack a whole family and move across the world with nothing there. Like, this isn't an easy decision that they make. They're risking their lives because their lives back where they're from are so dangerous and are so dire. Yet you have to realise that your position in life is something that you didn't work for. You didn't work to be British. You just happened to be spawned from your parents and you're in this country. Your life matters no more than these immigrants. And that's something you need to realise. In addition to what I said about the motivation behind these riots being kind of farcical, I do think that is true, because using this excuse of being riled up by the murder of these children, which of course was a tragic event, I don't think that's the reason why these people are rioting. I don't think it's the reason why these people are burning down businesses. It's not because they feel so attached to these young girls, feel like there's some outrage on that. What I think is happening is that in the UK there's a lack of nuance and a lack of understanding when it comes to knowing what the working class care about. I think the left and the right, so both Conservatives and Labour, have failed the working class. And more specifically, the working class British, white people feel like their voice has not been heard. Because let's be honest, what's been pushed right now in society, especially when it comes to socially, is a lot of identity politics. So a lot of things about religion, gender, sexuality, these kind of things, like making sure that these people are kind of put at the forefront of whatever political messages are out there. And if we're being honest, the white working class British person does not care about that, and they shouldn't have to. I feel like their voice has been ignored for probably the last 5, if not more years. The more woke we've got, that is a word they love to use, woke. But I feel like the more knowledgeable that society has tried to become on other people's needs, the more alienated that the general public has become. And I feel like these riots are, I feel like they're kind of a response to the feeling of being ignored or the feeling of not being catered to. Now, whether that a feeling is righteous or not is up to opinion, but for me, I feel like that viewpoint of feeling unheard is justified. I think it is fair to say that the white British working class person has not been catered to as much as they have historically in the last couple of years, in the last probably more than that. And sadly, I feel like that trend is not going to change with these riots. I feel like what the media have done is they've painted these rioters with the right-wing kind of paintbrush. Although I'm sure there are some people that are in these riots that do have right-wing beliefs and right-wing. However, I don't feel like that's the majority of the people. I feel like the majority of people that are involved, or not involved, but that actually have these similar feelings to what these rioters are showing, probably don't feel comfortable saying their point of view, because they know that right or wrongly they're going to be labelled as being racist, they're going to be labelled as being xenophobic, etc, etc. And although these labels do have value in actually being able to identify people that do have, you know, these potentially, you know, messed up beliefs. I think when you use it so often and so, you know, willy-nilly, ends up losing its meaning and losing its power. Because when you just paint, you know, a whole group of people with the same paintbrush of being right-wing, regardless of, you know, what their actual political and social opinions are, you risk the, you know, alienating them and making them feel unheard, which is exactly what's happening now. But with that being said, I also want to caveat that with saying that this mindset of, you know, British people feeling like they need to be catered to is something that I find a little, I don't know, a little ironic, just because this feeling of, you know, being self-righteous, that, you know, we're the real British people, we're the ones that matter. I don't know, I feel like it's a bit deluded, it's a bit naive, I would say, to feel like your race or your heritage should mean that you have, you know, these intrinsic benefits in a country that, let's be honest, is mainly still homogeneously white. You do have these benefits. But it's not the benefits that you want. You want to have, you know, the ability to get jobs easier than other people. That's not going to happen. Jobs are given to the person that deserves the role. It's not based on your race, or it shouldn't be. And I feel like there's a kind of need to, I don't know, I feel like they need to feel like they're being catered to. Well, let's be honest, a lot of the working class, you know, white British people, especially outside of London, they can become complacent. They don't really bring that much to the economy compared to their immigrant counterparts who come here and have this drive to work hard, this drive to make something out of themselves. A lot of these people that are, you know, born in these small cities in the north, for example, a lot of them are very complacent. They just feel like, you know, I'm British, I should have a job, I should have a high-paying job. I don't have the skills for it, but I've got the colour for it. You know, my parents were born here, so where's my money? Where's my council house? Where's my benefits, etc. But these people are the people that you'll see in these riots saying, "Oh, immigrants are coming here taking our jobs, etc., etc." Also, I feel like it's quite cheeky to have that point of view that, you know, immigrants are destroying everything when you are living in a country that colonized like half of the world. Your ancestors, I know it wasn't you, but the ancestors of English British people have done horrible things, and just because it happened how many years ago doesn't mean it didn't happen. Like just the things that are happening now, you feel so like strongly about. So did our ancestors, and so did everyone else's, you know, great grandparents or something. They felt that just as strongly, and just because it's happening now to you, you feel more connected to it. The fact is, you live in a country that has colonized half of the world. There are consequences to that. And the consequences is that the countries or the people that you colonized are going to want to have some part of the colony, regardless of how small the island is. And although the deeper issues regarding the cultural differences between the typical British, you know, values and, you know, the Muslim immigrants, for example, that is a valid issue, and that is something that can actually be worked towards to find an appropriate result. Because surely there's a way to come to a conclusion that doesn't involve shipping people off to Rwanda or just murdering immigrants in the street. God save the king.